Today we'll talk about something very new in short, that is the concept of ecological imperialism, in sync with my yesterday's video on ecofeminism and eco-criticism. This term ecological imperialism was coined by Alfred Crosby in his 1986 book of the same name. Ecological Imperialism, it is subtitled Biological Expansion of Europe from 900 to 1900. That is 1000 years of history of Europe's expansion. Now, as you know, in post-colonial theory and my classes on post-colonial theory, post-colonial literature, we have mostly focused on the damages and changes brought about in the cultural domain of the colonized societies, which have changed inalterably, and the great harms that colonialism has done to us, you know, made us alien from our own culture. It was shown in theory by Said and others, Said, then Franz Fanon, etc. In literature, in literature it was shown by people like Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Buchi Emecheta, Rajarao, all this. Anyway, in this ecological imperialism, or the biological expansion of Europe from 900 to 1900, the focus is on how colonialism was destructive not only for culture and economy but for nature of the non-European world. When they came, they brought in the philosophy of agriculture, that was a philosophy and methodology of agriculture that was based on industrial England and other parts of the European world. Because we had Portuguese colonies also, French colonies also, it's not limited to English colonies, all over the world, I mean. And maximizing production by artificial means. So many trees which were part of our nature in different parts, they were just chopped off. Look at the condition of tea in Assam. We take pride in the fact that we produce the one of the highest growers of tea, not only in India but perhaps in the world. But tea has done substantial damage to our traditionally existing agriculture. Now, Upper Assam is not self-sufficient in other agricultural products. Tea is good, but you cannot survive on tea, right? So you take areas which are meant for cultivation of agriculture, I mean cultivation of rice, paddy, etc., and then you force people to grow tea there, and then rice production got limited, so Upper Assam has got dependent on other parts of Assam, or rather India, for production of or for consumption of rice, the staple food of the region. So this is an example. I think you got my point. The same thing Amitav Ghosh has shown in his The Sea of Poppy trilogy. How in many parts of Bihar and associated areas, the colonizers forced people to cultivate poppy, opium seeds, for growing those intoxicant materials. And then, because you cannot survive on intoxicants, tea is also a mild intoxicant, and poppy or opium, of course, is. You can, yes, take them from time to time. Opium, of course, I don't take. I don't want. I think you also don't take. But even earlier, normal people sometimes used to take it as painkiller. We have even in the last part of her life, the mother Sharuda of Ramakrishna Mission, she was also prescribed opium along with milk a little bit for the excessive pain and malaria related issue. Anyway, that is different thing. So this is how British or European agriculture destroyed the Indian form of agricultural patterns, ecology. That is, when you start new plants which actually are not meant for that places. Tea was found in Assam, but it was there in limited quantity. So you supplant every other production, expand it, and we have kind of catastrophic effect in the long run, which we do not understand. So this is the flip side of British industrialization of India, or British agricultural patterns. In fact, the agricultural patterns that we used were more suitable ecologically. Now, Bandana Shiva and others are talking about it. But then, yes, maybe production was limited. So, to maximize profit, you bring in artificial manuring, artificial pesticides, and all those points that I have spoken. And it is not only with British, because the book is about Europe's imperialism. By you know, so imperialism is always not always economic or cultural, as we highlight in post-colonialism, but it is, ecological too. So that we have to add. So that's why this concept of ecological imperialism is a kind of intersectional theory between post-colonialism and eco-criticism. It combines both. So please remember, I'll just end with giving another example of some other kind of colonialism, the potato, which is today something which we cannot live without unless one is a highly diabetic person. Even they have to take in limited because it has become our staple food. But do you know, at one point of time in India there was no potato, even 400 years back. If you read the biographies of Chaitanya Dev, for example, Chaitanya Charitamrita of Bengal, it is a highly celebrated text. All kinds of vegetables and others are described there. You read that not for religious reason, but as social history. Potato doesn't find mention there. Portuguese brought potato in India. And now we love potato so much. Even today we have prepared because lockdown is there. But this cheap, easily available, and somewhat tasty food, the high rise of diabetes in India is also related to that, because already our food is staple food, rice or roti is full of starch, and add potato to that, starch gets double starch intake. So had there been no potato, there would not have been this much of diabetes in India. So this is the contribution of the Portuguese. You can visit Jagannath temple at Puri. You can go as a believer, you can go as a non-believer, because these are human, artifacts, all religious places. So there is a place called Anando Bajar. They sell Jagannath's prasad daily, so you can take, buy and eat. You will see there is no potato there. One good thing is why I go there, because you get the taste of how cooking was there in this eastern part of India, say 1000 or even 1500 years back. They continue the same pattern. Sweet potato is used, but not the potato that we have. And so many other things like carrot, these were not used, these are not Indian. So these are some of the points. Jagannath's example is my own, this potatoes thing, but this is a telltale example of how colonialism harmed us ecologically also. So also remember to study and talk about ecological imperialism, and this is where we end.